Welcome to the Taylor Made Tasty podcast. I'm Taylor, retired serial quitter turned goal boss coach, speaker, and consultant. I believe a beautiful life starts with a beautiful mindset. Join me as we amplify confidence, resilience, and actionable tools on the road to quit quitting on you and your vision. You are worthy of your goals, so let's go get there. Hey y'all, welcome back to another episode of Taylor Made Tasty, the podcast. In this episode, I discuss mindfulness for high performers with special guest Sarah Arieto. We discuss what the definition of a high performer is, which may surprise you, tools around burnout, and how to slow down without feeling guilty. Sarah is an eternal optimist with a passion to serve others. She has spent the bulk of her career in oncology helping treat cancer fighters. With success in healing her own health issues, Sarah is a pioneer in creating a mindful-based healing program to address the mental and emotional well-being of cancer fighters and their family. Sarah has a knack for simplifying complex information and making it easy to implement in your life. She helps those who don't believe they are worthy or able to experience health, wealth, and abundance. I am excited to jump into our conversation today, offering examples and exercises to help the busybody high performers in slowing down and getting more done by doing less. If you're anything like me, after I have dinner, I get so excited about picking my dessert. Being on an intentional wellness journey means I choose wisely when it comes to my sweet treats. That's why I love grabbing a bag of Pink Panda candy. Each bag contains 50 grams of candy with only 2 grams of sugar, and at 90 calories, it fits perfectly with my wellness goals. Pink Panda candy offers 3 flavors: Astro Blasters, Treasure Chews, and my personal favorite, Peachy Hearts. They are vegan, gluten-free, and made in the US. Head to pinkpandacandy.com and use code TaylorPanda10 for 10% off. Pink Panda Candy. Don't sweat the sweet stuff. Hi, Sarah. Welcome to the podcast. Thank you so much for being here, and I'm excited to dive into our conversation today.
Hi, Taylor. Really glad to be here. Thanks for having me.
Yes. So I was thrilled to jump into this conversation because I can relate to being a busybody. And I know when it comes to goal setting, I love that you have a knack for being able to simplify complex information and making it accessible to the masses. Now, what I hear a lot from my clients is they feel like they're doing it all, and they're doing it all just okay versus doing a few things really freaking well. And so the idea of getting more done by doing less is a very attractive topic. But first, can you explain what you mean by high performer? I want to clear the air that this label is only identifiable to a certain person, when actually a lot of people are high performers.
Absolutely. So when I refer to high performers, it has nothing to do with how much money you make or what your job title is. It's exactly what you said. It's people who are busy doing all of the things. And that could be anywhere from a corporate executive to a stay-at-home mom. And actually, when I was a stay-at-home mom, that work is way harder than when I was in the corporate world because you never get a break. So
Yeah.
it's just people that are busy doing all of the things and feeling like they just don't have enough for themselves or for their family or for their priorities at the end of the day.
Yes, definitely super relatable. So taking the idea of a high performer and going back to the concept of feeling like we are doing a lot of things just okay versus feeling like we're really good at a small number of things, what are some tools around getting more done by doing less?
Yes. So I love this topic because it combines my passion of mindfulness and my experience in the corporate world. So, being mindful and just being aware of what your needs are so that you can take those pauses or you can do something that fills your cup and allows you to slow down and reboot is really important. And I think we often underestimate that because we work, we do all of the things, and then suddenly we're burnt out. And now we can't even get the bare minimum done because we're just trying to survive, not even excel at anything. There's also, it's called an urgent, important matrix that you can prioritize what needs to be done. So there's four quadrants, and it's what's important and urgent, what's important and not urgent, what's unimportant but urgent, and what's unimportant and not urgent. And that stuff's just the filler. That's actually where we spend 80% of our day is the not important, not urgent stuff. And that's what's burning us out. So that's why by doing less, we can actually accomplish more because it's either more in line with our priorities or it's actually stuff that's going to make a difference in our life or in our business. And we're not just filling the time.
Yes, that's so good. So 80% of our time. So that's things like us scrolling social media or using our thoughts to fixate on something that doesn't matter. All of those uh, negative self-talk, comparison, all of that lives in there. I feel like that is not
Absolutely.
beneficial to our to us. And the fact that we are high performers, I feel like means that we do want the good life. Like we want to be happy. We want to not only be a high performer, but like have something to be proud of to show for it, right? Um and I think in my personal mindfulness work, there have been very specific blocks that I've needed to move past, like feelings of self doubt and unworthiness and negative self talk. So, how can those be addressed by slowing down as well?
Yeah, that's so good. So, when you're in line with your priorities and what actually matters to you, so when you're paying attention and you're able to prioritize what matters and what isn't, you're able to better assign your energy and and follow your passion. So if you're doing something that isn't really important to you or isn't aligned with where you want your life to be, it's easy to get caught up in your head or quit. I love that you talk
Yes.
about quitting. It's so easy to quit because you're not passionate about it. It's not something that's actually giving you fulfillment or giving you purpose. Now, when you do find something that gives you passion or purpose and you want to move forward with that, whether it's a business or some goals, it is easy and common to still get caught up in self sabotaging behaviors or feel like you're an imposter. But ways to get out of it are to really identify and be clear about your why. Why are you doing this? And when you're clear about your why, that can help overpower the I'm not good enough because everybody has felt like they're an imposter. Everyone who's a high performer and is trying to achieve something has felt like an imposter at one point or another. The only difference is the people that have made it have pushed past it and kept coming back to their why, which outweighed the I'm not good enough or I can't.
Yeah, absolutely. The even though I feel this way, I'm still going to go for it, or I'm still going to see what I'm capable of, or I'm still going to push towards this goal. And I also think that this matrix you talked about is so valuable because our brain capacity changes day to day. Like what do I have the energy to show up and do today? And so it's like putting things into those quadrants. You're like, if I can only attack this one like high priority, high importance quadrant today, then like that is my goal and I'm going to feel success if I can get there. And then I'm sure there's days where we can go and attack more things. But I really like that concept of breaking it down into smaller, attainable milestones. That's like what I preach. So that it feels like I don't have to do all of this, but these are the things that I really should focus on first.
Yes, you're so right because gaining momentum and feeling accomplished helps us keep going. It gives us like the push that we need to feel like we're on the right track. So if you feel like you're getting something accomplished, it may not be 20 things, but if it's three things that are really important and make a difference, sometimes that feels more accomplished than those other 20 things that didn't matter. You're absolutely right.
Yeah, definitely. So when we're high performing and we're busybodies and we're doing all of these things, it almost seems like mindfulness is out of touch, like out of body, like not attainable. How would I even get there? And we know, like you and I know that mindfulness plays a big part in showing your self-love when we lose sight of self-love. And so like what mindfulness practice or practices can you implement to sort of bring that back quickly when we are feeling that self-doubt or imposter syndrome, all of that? Like how can we quickly implement mindfulness back into a place of self-love?
Yeah, I love this question because I think there's a misconception that in order to be mindful or to get the benefits of a mindfulness or meditative practice, you have to spend years and years or hours and hours a day. And that's what turned me off a long time ago to meditation was I'm a busybody. I'm doing all of the things. I don't have hours and hours a day to just sit and breathe or, clear my mind. And the good news is you don't have to clear your mind. So there could be simple tools like taking a breath, pausing, taking a breath, and then assessing how do you want to proceed? Do you want to keep going on this track? Or do you need a break from this particular task or situation and then you can come back to it? That's a great mindfulness technique. Someone told me that a long time ago. Take 3 breaths, and if you still feel the same, you're on the right track. If you feel different, pivot. A couple other options are just tapping is a new thing. I don't know if you've heard of
Mm-hmm.
that. It's new to
Yes.
me. But tapping gets you out of these ruminating behaviors. And so there's different techniques for tapping, but I find that the energy line through the body, so between the eyebrows or above the lips, the chest and the abdomen, help get me out of ruminating or self-sabotaging negative self-talk behavior. So it just brings me back to what am I doing? It's connecting my mind and body so that I'm not just on autopilot. So those are some two really good mindfulness practices. And then, of course, we've heard more and more about meditation and how that can be beneficial. And again, I thought that was inaccessible because I can't clear my mind and I don't have hours a day. But I've found a style that works for me, and I call it lazy girl meditation because you can do it in as little as 5 minutes. You don't have to clear your mind, and you really tailor it to what works for you so that you're consistent about it. And I know that you preach consistency. Small little changes really add up to big transformation. So starting small and manageable, whatever that means for you, is the key to success. As long as you'll do it, you'll get benefit.
Yes. I think one of the reasons that meditation feels so ominous, if you will, is that when we are at this like high performing level, we also experience perfectionism
Yeah.
and the all or nothing mentality of like, well, if I can't do meditation perfect, then I'm not going to do it at all. Where that is such a like that's not real. There's no perfect way to do meditation, right? And if you were to take that time for yourself, what would that make your life look like, even if it was for 5 minutes? And one of the things I heard a long time ago that always like helped me in my meditation practice is that because we're humans and our minds are going a mile a minute, and to tell us to be present and like only focused on this meditation is easier said than done. And so I think that's what makes us feel less than about it is like, well, I can't be present. I'm thinking about the 500 things that I have to do over here. And so one of the practices that I was taught is when you're in a meditation and your mind starts to wander, is just like smile and bring yourself back to it, because then it's not coming from a place of like, oh, I'm doing this wrong, punishing yourself. You're just like, okay, I'm normal, I'm human, my thoughts have gone awry and I'm gonna bring them back. So I just always thought that was like really helpful in the moment of meditation, and just like smile to yourself and bring you back to this moment. And you may, in 5 minutes, you may do that 60 times. Like it's just how it works. Our minds are they're just going and going, but over time, maybe it only looks like 20 times that you have to do it, or 10, and that's like you said, with the consistency, it's with anything, you're going to get better at it. And initially though, I feel like the benefits of meditation are still there, whether or not it's done in a way that people are supposed to, quote unquote, meditate.
Yes. Oh my gosh, I love that smile so much because you're right. You can't really be stuck in a negative thought train if you're smiling, right? It's kind of like, can you really be angry if you're laughing? So
Right.
that is so great. I love it. A way I think about meditation is kind of like when you're getting ready to have a baby. Everybody has questions and opinions on what kind of
Mm.
birthing plan are you doing? Are you going to have, drugs? Are you not going to have drugs? And they're all judgy about it. And after that baby comes, not one person asks you, what was your birth plan and did you follow it? Right? It's kind of like meditation. People get so caught up in the what type of style do you do? How do you do it? And there's a lot of judgment or
Mm-hmm.
expectations around it.
Mm-hmm.
But really, what people care about is how are you in your life? Are you calmer? Are you less triggered? Are you creative? Are you compassionate? Are you a good person? And if you are, no one really cares about what type of meditation you're doing, how long you're doing it for, and if you're perfect at it or not. So that's a great tip. I'm gonna have to use that
Yes.
one.
Yeah,
Smile
definitely.
during your
Smile to
meditation.
yourself.
Yeah.
Yes. Okay, love that. So one of the things I did want to go back to is just because I know you nor I are experts on the tapping idea, and there are tons of books and resources and podcasts and YouTubes and all of these things. So if a listener is interested in tapping a little bit more, but the concept is that you are actually using your own fingers to tap parts of your body. So when Sarah was talking about the line of like, okay, the top of my head over my lips or on your collarbone, I know that that's one, your temples, things like that. But it's really to like bring you back into the space when you're having these thoughts of like, oh, I could never do that, or that's not for me, or I'm not capable of that, or whatever it is that's coming up, is this tapping method along with affirmations. That's how
Hmm.
I've been taught, is that it's like you tap with an affirmation to bring you back to the present. And you're sort of like, it's almost this symbolic maneuver of I'm going to shove this thought into my body with my fingers. Like I'm going to, I'm going to think you are capable, you are a badass, you got this by tapping it into my skin. So, it is very cool. And I have a lot of business coaches that use it and things like that. So if anyone is interested, please like look it up as a tool for your mindfulness for sure.
Yeah.
So myself, and I know a lot of my clients live a fast-paced life, and I'm sure that that's true for most people right now. And there's a lot going on in the world. There's a lot of distractions, and we also live in a world with this concept of this like hustle and grind culture where it's very alive and well in our lives, whether you believe in it or not. And so I'm wondering if you have some tools around like bouncing back from burnout, because I think that's a common feeling right now in the world.
Yes, absolutely. So obviously, it's best to care for yourself and identify before you get burnt out. But once you get to that point, how do you get out from under that or out of that hole? So a couple ways to do it. Again, I love that important urgent matrix because it allows you to prioritize. And to be clear, it doesn't just have to be about work stuff. It really can be about life. So personal duties that you have at home, or how do you balance the time between work tasks and home life? It really can be anything that's important and urgent, or unimportant and not urgent, and can it be outsourced, or does it even need to be done? So that's a great tip, is just to evaluate what's supporting you, what needs to be done, and what's going to fill your cup. Another thing is just, again, being slow and methodical about what you try to implement. We don't want to go from, binging Netflix to running a marathon the next day. You have to start somewhere, whether it's walking around the block or walking up and down your hallway, or, something to get the momentum going. So find something that fills your cup and helps you feel rebooted, and then just keep adding on as it gets more and more comfortable. I like to, and I think probably a lot of your listeners, because we are high performers, I like to challenge myself to grow, but the trick is to not push to overwhelm. And it's okay to say no. So there's a lot there in terms of recognizing for yourself what's pushing you to grow outside of your comfort level, but what's too much that it's going to force you to not pay attention or not give your energy to something else. So is it worth it? And then being clear about if it's going to push you too far, setting up a boundary and effectively communicating it. Boundaries get a bad rap, and it's something I'm still working on myself, because I feel like we're taught that boundaries are like walls, like barbed wire fences that you can't get through, and it's meant to protect you. And it is meant to protect you, but it's also respect for those other people, whether it's friends and family members or your boss. And it's meant to help you identify, here's what I can take on right now to do a great job, to kick butt at it. But if I take on too much, especially for work, if I take on too much, it's not going to be top quality. It's not going to be my best. So communicating that and being firm about your capabilities and your energy level. And I think mindfulness is the first step to that, because if you don't recognize yourself, what you need and when to back off, suddenly you are in this overwhelm and burnout, and then you're struggling to get out versus maintaining a healthy balance.
Yes. I like to think about boundaries as like your property line. So where your boundaries are more about like you knowing your limits versus your property line, depending on where you live and how your house
Yeah.
works, is less about like keeping people out, but it's like knowing who you're going to give permission to come on your property, right? And so
Yes.
it's like, but you have to know where that line lives in order to know if somebody is like building on your property or coming into your yard. So I like to think about it that way. But
Yeah.
yes, another thing that's easier said than done too.
Right, right. And that's the thing is everything takes practice, but it always did, right? I mean, even riding a
Mm-hmm.
bike when we were kids, you don't just jump on one time and suddenly you're, going over jumps or riding 5 miles. Have to start somewhere, and it's just small steps, being consistent so that you progress. So I know that you preach this a lot, but try not to get down on yourself if you're not perfect at it right away. It takes practice. And like I said, I'm still working on the boundary line because I'm such a yes person and I'm such a
Mm-hmm.
doer that I need to really pause and say to myself, can I do this as effectively as what they deserve or what they're asking for? And if the answer is no, I don't like to half ass stuff. So then it's just better to say no or not right now than yes and fail.
Yeah, absolutely. Okay, so alternatively, how do we, as high performers, do we give ourselves permission to just be, to just chill, to just relax and stop scratching that itch of like, I should be doing something productive right now? How do we, the sort of the opposite of burnout, or if you are feeling that burnout, how do you get to a place of like, I just need to relax and chill and come back stronger?
Yeah. So I'm big on mindfulness and meditation because they've made such a difference in my life in terms of health and in productivity. So what I recommend is taking even just starting with that 5 minutes and allowing yourself to find 5 minutes that fills you up. For me, it's breathing or meditation for 5 to 15 minutes is what I do. But even if you only start for five, start and be consistent. And I know that people say, well, it's 5 minutes that I could be doing something else. But have you ever been frustrated or stressed or in a rush and suddenly you're dropping things or you're misspeaking because your mouth and your brain are not caught up with each other, or you have to redo work because you weren't thinking as clear, and then all of a sudden you have these ideas that come together? That's what mindfulness and meditation allow you to do, is just like your computer. When you have all these tabs and apps and windows open, no matter how new it is, it starts to slow down. It starts to work slower. Sometimes it crashes. Sometimes you have to click things off. Mindfulness and meditation is like closing a couple of those windows. Even if it's just closing a couple, suddenly your computer is working faster and more efficiently. And that's what you're doing for your brain and your body, is you're allowing yourself to reset and get clearer so that you're not in this constant state of it's constant state of fight or flight, really. So your body is saying, okay, I need to figure out what I'm doing here. It's shutting down those other systems. They're not working optimally because they don't matter when you're trying to protect yourself and get out of there. So it really does allow you to reset and be more creative and clear. And it takes less time because you're not having to rework and you're not stewing about it or ruminating about it. And you can be more efficient that way.
Yes. All right. So, mindfulness for high performers. I love all of the gems that you gave us about slowing down and getting more done by doing less. So, Sarah, can you tell us about how to connect with you and the latest and greatest in your business?
Yeah, thank you. So you can find me on all the platforms at Sarah Ariado. If you're interested in learning how to introduce meditation to your life or find a way that's accessible. I have a free guide called Lazy Girl Meditation, so lazygirlmeditation.com. And my other website is sarahariano.com. If you're interested in the health and healing behind mindfulness, I've created a program to help cancer patients with their mental and emotional aspect of healing.
Oh, you're doing such good work. And I know we all appreciate you being here. So thank you so much for your expertise today. And we are excited to implement some of these in our life because I'm ready. I need some more mindfulness, that's for sure.
I love it. Yeah, thank you, Taylor. Great to be here.
All right, y'all, it is time for the quote of the episode. This quote is from Aristotle, and it spoke to me for the end of this episode because when we are high performers, busybody mode, it can be easy to forget to sit back and reflect on all the ways you are accomplishing so much. The quote is, "We are what we repeatedly do. Excellence, then, is not an act, but a habit." Take that into your week, your month, maybe even your year, and own that you being excellent in this life and in this world is a true gift. As always, thank you for being here. Thank you for being in my community. I'm so glad you showed up today, and let's go get there. Look at you, crushing it. Thank you for joining me for another episode of the Tailor Made Tasty podcast. My hope is you always leave with a takeaway to implement in your own goal-crushing journey. I would love if you could take a moment to leave a review. And if you're looking for a community of goal boss badasses just like you, be sure to check out tailormadetasty.com/membership.